How's it going, everybody? It's Ethan here at Kite Paddle Surf. Today we're going to look at the S1 Alloy kit from Armstrong. We're just going to do a quick rundown of the setup. Got the nice bag and start looking at some of the components. This is going to be the fuselage here. We've got the bottom bracket and some hardware. And the top plate here. And there's the mast. So I need to set up these screws, otherwise I won't know which way they go. Alright, so we've got some Teflon grease here, and this is just going to help with any corrosion and resistance when you've got the foil coming in and out of the water. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find the top of the mast, and anywhere on those threads, just a bit of dab of that grease there before we thread in the hardware. So you can see there's a direction with this. It's a bit wider at the front of the mast, and we're going to toss that on, kind of give it a firm smack. There, it's in place. And the first thing we're going to do is we've got this washer nut. Going to toss a little Teflon grease in there, just a slight bit. Perfect. And this one is going to go on the side there, and we're going to thread this smaller M6 hardware into that, like so. Give it kind of a loose tighten until we have the other hardware threaded in as well. So for the top of the plate, there's going to be 3 screws that go in. You're going to have one M7, one M8, and then one tapered screw. So that tapered screw is going to be the one that goes into the middle. Toss that in, go with a light thread. The M7 is going to be the one in the back. And then the M8 is going to be one in the front. And these, the M7 and the M8, you just use one washer. They also provide you with a bunch of spares too. Now, anytime I set up foils, I find it's best to not tighten each of the bolts super hard individually. I get them all to the point of just where you start feeling tension. And then now when they're all at that point, just to make sure everything's fitting well, then I'll fully crank them down. So we've got the top plate on, all the hardware's in, and that grease is in the threads just to prevent any corrosion. So the next thing, we're gonna have our fuselage here. And what's new with this fuselage is there's gonna be a bottom bracket, and this clicks in right there. And before we put it on, we're gonna wanna grease these inserts as well. Nice tight connection there. Same as above, one M7, one M8. M7 goes in the back, M8 in the front here, and kind of just slowly tighten them to tension. All right, So now we've got our S1 alloy system set up, and the only thing we're missing now is gonna be the rear stabilizer in the front wing. Best thing about the new S1 system is at this point, your foil is gonna be compatible with anything in the Armstrong range, all of their front foils, all of their rears. But if it's your first time setting any of those up, we'll walk you through it. So the hardware for the foil wings comes already screwed in onto the stabilizer in the front wing. These ones are pretty simple, just gonna line it up there. The threads, so these are actually titanium hardware, so you don't need to use the Teflon grease on the wings. But the threads are gonna be on the stabilizer, so you can kind of just feel it get tension tight by hand. And then of course, I'll crank it down with a little more force afterwards. So Armstrong always provides you with really high quality bags, covers for the foil wings and even for the mast. Say whenever you're not in the water, I would be using these foil covers just to keep them from getting scratched up. So we'll toss that on while we're setting up the front wing. So this is gonna be all the hardware you need for your front wings. You've got the barrel nut that'll go through the top, and then on the bottom, you've got two 28 mil M7 bolts, and then there's gonna be just a 19 mil up front. So I'll take that out. And just like all of the Armstrong systems, it's just gonna click into place right there. I always start by just lightly threading each of those, the two 28s and the 19 into the bottom of the fuselage. Fully tighten them down. And then the last thing is gonna be that barrel nut. This is gonna go and thread onto this bolt right here. So there it is, the S1 foil, fully set up and ready to go. Armstrong's great with giving you extra hardware, so definitely want to keep track of that in case you lose something. I know that we've also got our track nuts here, so when you're ready to get on the water, it's pretty simple, but these little bolts are gonna thread into your foil box, and then you would just tighten them down like so on all four of the connection points. That's really it. Really stiff system for an alloy foil. We're super excited to have these. I think the best part about it is that you get in at a lower price with the alloy system, but it does get you into the full Armstrong range. You can use any of their front foils, any of their rear foils. There's a lot to go with progression, a lot to try. Super high quality gear. If you have any questions on the S1 kits or anything foil related, you can always leave a question down below. Give me a call at the shop, and we'll see you on the next one.